People like me, where I'm from, rural Alabama, like these kind of jobs don't happen to people like me.
Katie Sandlin thought she landed her dream job at the National Institutes of Health as an educator. She spent her life savings and maxed out her credit cards to move from Alabama to just outside Washington, D.C. But after a few weeks on the job, before she could even unpack, Sandlin received a termination letter that claimed your performance has not been adequate to justify further employment at the agency.
I've just always thought that hard work pays off, and it doesn't feel like that right now.
Did your supervisors say your performance had anything to do with your firing?
Oh, no, they said that was absolutely not true.
Sandlin was one of the thousands of recently hired federal workers fired with no severance, and the cuts are still coming. The Internal Revenue Service is expected to terminate more than 6,000 people before week's end.
I'm starting to see more and more stories like this, right? I'm starting to see a whole lot of stories just like this, where a lot of these federal employees are getting fired, right? And it's all types of situations. There's people who are on probation, and there's also people who just started working like this lady right here, right? But now there's two things in this video that I just want to discuss, because this is something people keep on bringing up, and I think there's some truth behind it, right? Because to me, two things could be right. Number one, the huge mistake the lady made, but I understand. She thought she finally found her dream job, which was to max out her credit cards and to empty out her savings. Now, I know how it is, guys, right? When you have a dream, you want to chase it and you want to pursue it, and you do whatever it is, right? You do whatever it takes to take that risk, right? And in this case, the risk was, the dream job that she wanted. So she just maxed everything out. But when it's all said and done, it is still a risk, right? It wasn't 100% it was going to work. It was a risk. And it was a risk that she took, and unfortunately, it did not work. Now, there's so many people out there that are going to be saying, well, didn't she know this was going to happen? Right? That's a comment I see everywhere. They voted for this. This is what people voted for. They didn't know this was going to happen? No, that's not the case. Guys, years and years and decades, all types of presidents, when they ran, they all said they were going to slash some type of government spending. Everyone said this is what they were going to do. Trump, on his first time that he ran, right, when he was a president, he said the same thing. No one really lost their job during that. He complained so much about the government and the spending and didn't make all the changes where people were so petrified with getting fired. So at first glance, everyone would think, well, she should have known. I don't think a lot of people know, right? A lot of these people get caught off guard because they did not expect to get fired the way they did. We all in the private sector stop checking the temperature and knowing, hey, something's going on here. The revenue is not working out. People are getting laid off. Man, they're starting to outsource our job to people in different locations. You start getting worried, right? And that's when you start planning and preparing. But in this case, can you imagine you do an interview and they tell you how great you were and how they want to hire you? And you're thinking, right, because the logic behind so many people when it comes to government jobs is, well, it's a safe job. We all say, well, it's a safe job. Well, we learn it now. It's not. But usually people want to get into the government job because you feel like it's a safer job. Historically, it usually is. Right? Historically, usually working for the government is a safe job. Then she goes to the interview, gets the job. As she said, she didn't even get a chance to unpack. She didn't even get a chance to get a fair review. And she's getting this, this email that everyone is getting. That's the same for everyone else. There really is no difference. It looks like it was just copy-pasted from ChatGPT. And unfortunately, it's because of her performance, which is hysterical because it's like she was only there for a couple of weeks. And even the managers didn't agree with that, right? Even the managers didn't agree with that. To me, it just blows my mind because usually the funds are allocated to hire specific people, so those funds got to get spent on hiring. The fact that they just took that away and just cut people, just fire them just like that is really sad. And it's really unfortunate. Now, I understand for the people who are on probation because I later came on to discover, which so many people called me out on it, was I didn't truly understand at that time what a probationary period is because all my jobs I had in finance none of those jobs was in a probationary period. All those jobs were just pretty much from day one. I got my benefits, so I never heard of it. But I heard now in the government there is a probationary period, which I don't really understand why. I mean, I know it's to see the performance, but is it really that strict to just fire people in the government? Is it that hard? I am from Florida, though. Florida is a right to fire state, or whatever they call it, free to work or free to fire, whatever you want to call that term, state. And I understand that, but I never knew in a government job having probation for such a long period of time. It gotta be scary for someone working in a government job knowing they could fire you at any moment. Well, anyway, besides all that, this lady did do a bad decision. Listen, guys, if you're gonna make that leap and you're gonna take that risk, just understand it's not always gonna pan out. Right? It's not always going to pan out, and that's a risk that you are certainly taking. That unfortunately, it comes with the consequences, and that's the consequences in itself. Right? The consequences in itself is you might not get that job. You might not get that job. You might not get that job, and it's unfortunate. That's why you need to save up and plan for these things, man. You got to plan for it. You really just need to plan for these type of decisions you're going to be making in your life, because, man, what's she going to do now, right? What is she going to do now? What are all these employees going to do now? And I'm hearing bad comments and horrible people saying things on the internet, which is like, I don't know why people just treat federal workers like the scum and they're lazy and they're just not good at what they do. These are really good, highly qualified people, CPAs, CFAs, people really good at what they're doing. And they feel like they want to get a job that has more meaning, right? So they want to work for the government because it feels like you're helping the people directly. I was one of them. I want to get a job as a forensic accountant because I feel like, wow, this is something that I could do to help the country. And it feels a lot more rewarding and you can see your direct impact. But for some reason, everyone out there just bashes them. They just bash the federal employees and they're like, oh, now they're going to be in the private sector. Oh, they're going to ruin it all. Why is it all this negativity versus the government employees? Why? It blows my mind how people are just so like not caring about government employees. And they're really thinking that it's all about their performance. It has nothing to do with their performance. It's to do with the fact they're just trying to cut government spending. That's it. That's all they're trying to do is cut government spending. And to me, they're cutting it way too fast and way too deep. A lot of people don't understand the magnitude of all this cutting is happening on people, right? The magnitude of all these people, the financial situations they're going to be in. These people who got fired, man, they're really hard workers and they're going to be now struggling, right, in this current situation. I'm sure they'll get back on their feet. I'm sure they will. But in the case of this lady moving to Alabama, hoping for a better life, and now having to restart again, I don't even think she's going to stay in D.C. I mean, I wouldn't, right? I wouldn't. I would have to probably go back home and keep on grinding and keep on doing the things that you were doing to try to get ahead. It's a really tough, sad situation. So for any federal employee out there, man, keep your head up, man. I hope things get better for you. And I believe in you guys. You guys were going to do something great for the government. You guys want to help out and help us out tremendously, and I highly appreciate it. Hopefully there's no delays on tax returns or any delays on anything, or any type of services that people really require in this country. Well, anyway, guys, that's all I got to say. Catch you guys in my next video. Peace.